Hello, this is Amazon Mandy, and in this video I will quickly show how I got the gradient for this wig, fading from very deep red at the top to brighter down at the bottom. First, for the items you'll need is your wig. If you aren't sure how the color will turn out, please do tests on small pieces first. A bowl to mix the dye in, either use glass so the dye won't ruin it, or a junk bucket you don't mind throwing away when you're done. 70% alcohol, Sharpie markers, pliers which will make pulling the markers apart a lot easier, a razor blade, and some cling wrap, unless you're using a bucket with a lid. For this project, I only used half of the bottle of alcohol. For larger projects, you may want more, as well as more markers. I poured the alcohol into the bowl and then one at a time opened each marker up using the pliers. Remove the ink sponge from inside the marker and slice it open from one end to the other using the razor blade. Then use spoons or forks to squeeze the ink out as much as you can from each sponge into the liquid. Make sure when you cover the liquid you seal it well. Alcohol can evaporate really fast.
Okay, so I finished putting my wig together. It's two wigs, so cut into pieces and glued into chunks and all sewn in, so it has crazy fullness levels. What I want to do is have it kind of be a really deep red up in the front area and then fade back to the regular red. So I've got the dye here that we've already made, and it kind of has been sitting longer than I anticipated. I just wanted to leave it sit for a couple of hours or overnight or whatever. It ended up sitting for like a week. I've been busy. Okay, now the first thing that I'm going to do is remove my markers from the dye, just to get them out of the way so they don't get all tangled in the wig. Okay, so I think I got them all. These are just little extra chunks I had that go in the front. I'm going to jam them in there and let them soak. And what I'm going to do to get it to fade back is I'm going to ease the entire wig into this, and then I'm slowly going to ease it out every 15 minutes or so, a little bit higher, so it's not all sitting in there as long. I'm going to leave it sit. We'll come back in a few minutes.
After 15 minutes, I came back to the wig and remove about a third of it from the dye. I squeeze as much dye as I can from the upper part while leaving the lower part down in the dye to soak for another 15 minutes. 15 minutes later, I come back and remove the rest of the wig that has been soaking in the dye and squeeze out as much of the excess as I can. I also have to fish out those little pieces that I had soaking in there. Last but not least, rinse your rig out extremely well. I recommend using a junky utility sink for this for obvious reasons. Use only cold water when rinsing out your wig. If you use hot water, you might wash out all the nice dye that you just put in. Keep on rinsing it until the water runs completely clear, and then let your wig dry. Ta-da! You have a beautiful wig with a nice gradient color. You can use this with all kinds of colors. This particular wig ended up being glued to a helmet instead of sitting directly on my head. There's many different ways to dye wigs, but I always fall back on the Sharpie method. I feel like I have the most control over the final results. Feel free to ask any questions. I'll try to respond quickly, and happy wig dyeing.